I'm Abby.
And I'm Uchenna.
And this is Shine Your Eye, a podcast about the good and the wahala, here at home, back home, and around the world.
So join us as we inform, inspire, and enlighten all that shines bright in our community. Hey, Abby, how are you?
I'm great, Uchenna. How you doing?
I'm good. Today has been a great day. Beautiful weather. Just a wonderful day. So I'm just happy today. How about you?
Same. I mean, we got some rain, which could be considered not good, but when you are here and we're not getting enough rain, it's good.
It's good. And we got a little bit of a cool front.
Yes.
So let our air conditioners
take a break.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I'm looking forward to having a nice, cool night, evening, and not have to worry about the air conditioner as much today. Save a little bit of coins during this increased price
environment. Yes.
Which I thought things were going to go down in January, but
you did? You believed it?
Of course not. But that was what was sold to us, right?
Keep my mouth shut.
So today's show, we're going to start off with our Wednesday Wahala, talking about bride price. Abby, you're married. Was a bride price paid on your behalf?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I never really understood or knew what I thought about the bride price. We're not slaves, but we did get traditionally married in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, that was actually important to them, my family, and the other family. It's not just, it's not just done because they used to do it. I think it's real. Maybe that's what your point will be today. But yeah, I think my grandmother was in charge of putting together like what would be on the list. And then there's some like back and forth.
Yes. Some negotiations.
Yes. And then like none of this did I really know what was going on. But then my husband was stressed. He's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out this list. We have to go get a goat or 2 or 5. I don't know what it was. But yeah, it was interesting.
So I'm speaking about or bringing up bride price because of a post I saw on one blog, a Nigerian blog, and it talked about the Igbo customary law. I'm Igbo, and I remember that my father discussed this very topic. And I'm going to read what one, an attorney, a DNA attorney in Nigeria said about bride price. Under the Igbo customary law, payment of bride price is what validates paternity and not DNA. This means that if your father is yet to pay bride price on your mother, you will be presumed to be a fatherless child. He used a different word, but we're going to go with fatherless child. Also, you as the father of a child will not be allowed to take the child until you have paid the bride on the mom if the mom is not alive. A child that the father has not paid the mother's bride price will have to take the surname of the mother, and the mother's family will have custody of the child until the father comes and pays the bride price or until the child becomes an adult. So my father had mentioned this to me some time ago, whatever topic that we were discussing. So if the woman is unmarried, or if a bride price has not been, if they are unmarried, there's still some type of bride price they have to pay. But if that doesn't happen, then the child will take on the mother's, or in essence, her father's, their grandfather's last name. So the bride price in Igbo or just in general in Nigeria, is a sum or a gift a groom gives to the bride's family to formalize a marriage. It symbolizes a commitment, respect, and a merging of families. It's different from a dowry, which is given by the bride's family to the groom. Historically, bride price wasn't just about money. It represented the groom's ability to care for his wife and honor the bride's family for raising her. However, over time, it has taken on new interpretations, some which are controversial. And so I'd heard some discussion in the past about bride price. For example, if the woman has more education, then the bride price
It's
may be a
going
little
up.
bit more, exactly, because the family put more into raising their daughter. Also, in Igbo customary law, paying the bride price validates paternity. If a man doesn't pay, the child belongs to the mother's lineage and takes her surname. If a father never pays the bride price, he may have no legal or cultural claim to the child, even if the DNA proves it. So also, there was a story where a man in typical Igbo traditional culture, he had suspected that the child was not his, but because he had paid the bride price, he said that that was his child, and he never looked to do DNA, even though that was an option for him.
Okay.
The bride price also plays a role in inheritance. Without it, the child may not have the rights to the father's lineage.
Wow.
So, although I'm going to discuss the Igbo bride price, then I'm going to discuss it in other areas of Nigeria. So, Anambra and Igbo, they're known for the high bride price expectations, sometimes seen as excessive. Enugu and Ebonyi, they're more moderate and symbolic payments, and Abia emphasizes cultural and symbolic exchanges rather than heavy financial demands. So there's variations on who or what people determine to be expensive. So like you said, the goats, the cows, the gold, the jewelry, there could be a plethora of things. So this weekend, I had a conversation with a friend, and he said he wouldn't feel comfortable being in a relationship with a divorced Igbo woman. In his words, another man has already paid for her. She is his property. And so that reflects a deep-rooted belief in bride price as ownership rather than a cultural rite or passage. It suggests that even after divorce, a woman remains tied to the man who paid her bride price. And so when you look at traditional or Nigerian culture, typically, in some cultures, in some areas, women may have a difficult time getting married again. So that may be one aspect of it, because of the bride price. They may be seen as owned. What do you think about that?
My question is, can they return it? Because that's what I mean in all of the Niger movies.
Yes.
I think that's what they say. We will return your bride price. We did not come to space any of this wala.
Yes, the bride price can be reversed.
Okay.
And I know the people who speak Igbo will make fun of me and my pronunciation, but it's called Iwe Ukunwani, returning the woman's leg, or a bride price refund, to officially dissolve the traditional marriage. If a woman is divorced, her family can return the bride price to the ex-husband, freeing her to remarry. Some families struggle to repay it, although the process can be complicated. Some men refuse to accept it, leaving their ex-wife
They have to accept. Okay.
in limbo. In modern times, many Igbo communities no longer require a refund, especially if the marriage was long-term and produced children. So it's already it's already just, you got children. I guess there's, nothing more you can do about that.
So are you saying then, and I feel like this was what the post was saying, because I saw it in passing, but if a man is married to his wife and paid the bride price, any child that woman has is his child, whether or not the DNA pans out?
Right.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's similar to American culture, where a child born in marriage, no matter the DNA, is...
It's presumption.
Right, but initially... It's seen to be like, I was told in Texas that was the case, that if a child born in marriage, then you have to pay the child. I mean, like if there was a divorce, you still have to pay for the child support and all of that kind of stuff.
Unless you can rebut the presumption that the child is yours. If you have DNA, and I can't remember, but I think if you do it in enough time, then, and if there's another another father, like I don't think a court would allow you to take care of a child for 10 years and then you can't find another father and absolve you of having to pay the child support.
Continue, because it's in the best interest of the child.
Yeah, although that would, according to many people, be unfair.
But is life fair?
Oftentimes it is not.
Oftentimes it is not. So in Yoruba, bride price is largely symbolic and often returned to the groom after the ceremony. The focus is on
returned?
Yes,
Did
that's
we
some things
return it?
I'd heard that many times.
Interesting.
That it said, our daughter is not for sale.
Oh.
So that's what I've heard many times in Yoruba culture. The focus is more on the traditional engagement ceremony, which includes gifts like yam, kola nut, and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Hausa and Fulani, called sadaki, the bride price is usually modest. Islamic cultures influence the process, and it's often considered an obligation or ma rather than a negotiation. So I guess what we say goes, right? So in general, what do you think about bride price? Is it more of a cultural preservation, a family honor, or is something to be continued? And last thing I want to say is I watched 90 Day Fiancé, and there was an American woman, white Oyibo, who married a Ghanaian guy, and their culture was very similar to the Igbo, the knocking of the door knocking and a lot of things they were saying. And the American family had a big problem with the bride price because they felt like they were selling their daughter. Do you think that's still equivalent to selling your daughter with the bride price?
I mean, it's not irreversible. So, in actuality, you're not selling your daughter. So I do think that it's largely symbolic. I don't know that I have a problem with it. I guess if I did, I would have said, no, we can't do that in my rights. But it's very joyous. It's a joyous time. And by the way, weddings are very joyous.
Right.
The dismantling of the product of weddings is not as joyous. But I think that it's a culture that I think from what I've seen should continue, especially if it's largely symbolic. I will say, we live here, my husband and I, in the U.S., and we got married traditionally in Nigeria.
Okay.
Our families there, their finances don't line up to ours necessarily. So those things that we exchanged were helpful to my family, right? Like I didn't eat I don't think I ate any of it or much of it. It went to my family. It was, because for many families, because they received this, they are they're quicker to tell you to work it out,
Right.
In a way that's not true, that's not present here, right? Like American weddings are not as big for the most part.
It's true.
They're not thought to be about family as much. Like it's two people joining together to create a family, in my opinion, of what I've seen of marriages largely in the United States. But in Nigeria and in most cultures within Nigeria, it's about two families joining together.
Right.
And so your whole family is like, girl, we took the bride price. You got to stay.
You got to stay.
We've taking
enjoyed
you back.
that goat. And
yes, I can't bring that back up for you. Try again,
Exactly.
I don't know. I think it should stay, but I can understand another perspective.
So the arguments for it, like you said, cultural preservation and family honor. Another one is to ensure a level of seriousness and financial readiness.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, some seen as exploitative and seen as selling the bride, as seen as in 90 Day Fiancé, which is probably scripted anyway. But, also leads to financial burdens and may discourage marriage. So it may take you a little bit longer if you can't afford to pay the bride price.
That's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing, but, if they may really love you and they just can't do it yet. So, but they say love doesn't pay the bill. I mean, so it doesn't, right? So, and also something I've heard throughout several times is that some cases of domestic violence and entitlement where the men believe they bought their wives. And I remember some time ago there was a story about, whether it's true or not, we don't know, but a woman was in a relationship that had a lot of domestic violence, and she called for help, and they said, well, didn't he pay your bride price? So nothing was done. And I'm sure it sounds very like it's plausible.
Yeah.
So that also could be a negative thing.
A negative thing.
A negative thing about the bride price. But It's very, very interesting to see how different cultures look at it, how people deal with it. And sometimes they're just very expensive and high price. And so how do people deal with it? And also things I've heard is that the man will go to his friends and have them help and borrow. So are they really ready, or they just have a good community or network to help them pay for the bride price? So
Yeah, I mean, this makes me think about how easy it is to jump into marriage in America, and how, as a result, people jump in very easily and jump right back out.
Right.
If more thought went into it, then, or if there were more requirements before, maybe people wouldn't do it as hastily and they think a little bit. I will say that wedding planning is very stressful, and it tests you in ways that you likely haven't been tested before you get there. And I actually think that's a good thing for the couple. Although I think oftentimes people are like, well, we've gotten this far, let's just do it, you know?
Right.
And that's why so many people are divorced within 6 months or a year of getting married, or a month of getting married, because they really shouldn't have done it in the first place, regardless of bride price and regardless of the 1-year engagement or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a different way to do things, and I don't think that just because it's different, that the American way is necessarily better. And you know, I went to a wedding once where the bride didn't want to say submit, did not want to say, what is the part of the vow, the Christian vow?
Obey.
She didn't want to say obey, right? Because I mean, how far is that from, you know, a price? Like, there's bride price in African cultures,
Right.
And in the Christian way, you're supposed to obey your husband. He's your head. And so many men use that to lord over their wives in the same way that the men that paid a price for you lord it over you. It doesn't mean that because, you know, there are different standards.
If they paid or not. If they want to use that use
Then they
whatever they
will.
have, they will to control you. So it's more about the person and less about the culture, because there are many marriages where this is not an issue, no matter
How much they paid.
bride price paid or not.
Absolutely.
What about standardization of bride price amongst cultures or communities? So when you come in, you just know whether you're rich or poor, you're paying, or you're providing or you're gifting certain aspects or certain things to the bride's family.
Do I think it should be standardized?
Yes, standardized.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, some
communities do.
They
say,
do?
yeah, some communities, they will say, you know, no matter what, this is the customary price that you must give, and that's just it.
But some people get married at Post Oak Hotel.
Okay,
And
which is the only 5-star hotel in Houston.
Yes.
Yes,
And some people get married in their backyard.
correct.
It can be different. It levels day for this thing. Like,
Right.
I think that makes more sense, because the standard for the Naira billionaire family is going to be nothing. Like, then it's not even symbolic.
But you know, I always feel that rules are not for the rich. So I feel that if there was a, you know, billionaire family from that village, they would do what they want, and who's going to stop them, right?
True.
So
standardization would be for the peons, is what you're saying.
Basically, if you can't pay the price,
Don't get married. See?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. If you can't go past the rules or whatever, then you just stay within them, right? But if you have the means to not do it, and we know it's very easy to bypass rules in Nigeria with the, you know, correct amount of money, no one's going to stop you, right? So
interesting.
And then, you know, just in general, does a bride price reinforce that women are property? I think, you know, as of last weekend, that conversation, it seems that is something that many people still believe, that a woman is property, whether they believe that they will mistreat you or not because of it. But there is something to be said about property and women being property.
I think my argument here would be the same, that, when I look at Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
the difference in stature of men versus women is huge.
Correct.
Like, runs girls exist because they have to.
And runs girls are.
You tell me. You know better than me from all of the pop culture. But girls who have who
use their relationship status to fund their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and often have multiple providers under that
if you're
system.
able to do so. And you're right. There aren't many job opportunities, and so men are the job opportunity.
Yes, and they have all of the power.
Exactly.
And even a woman who wanted to, do it the right way, often won't be able to. I mean, there are rules in some places that women can't own property. Like, they could be gifted or bequeathed property from their fathers, and they need to be married for them to get it.
And also, I don't know if this is still the case, but I remember hearing stories of Lagos in what single women couldn't even rent or couldn't go into establishments. I remember, when I would go to Nigeria and I'd be in Lagos or anywhere, and I may come and sit at a table and I would not be serviced because they are assuming that a man is coming and they're waiting for the man to come. And I'm just sitting there, and I would get very frustrated.
With your money in your hand or in your phone, like.
So it's just a very different dynamics. I understand where it started, but there is some conflict of the modern traditional, and how we need to deal with that, and in marriages, how we deal with the dynamic of some men will see you as property.
Yeah,
and there's not, even if there's no bride price paid, you will be seen as property. So something to consider or think about. So, I mean, this is a deep conversation, and I know people have strong opinions on both sides. And if you're Igbo or from any other Nigerian tribe, your practices may be different, but something to discuss. And should bride price just in general be modernized, reduced, or even abolished? And I would love to hear your comments on this. So don't forget to email us at shineyouripod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and read some of your remarks on the air.
Especially if you have a personal story.
Oh, I would love that.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
So, in our praise report, we highlight and spotlight Nigerians and Nigerian-Americans making significant contributions in their communities.
Yes, I love this segment.
Today, we're honoring Judge Derek Obialo, who's recently been appointed as the Associate Judge of the 240th District Court in Fort Bend County, Texas. His journey is truly inspiring. He earned his Bachelor of Laws from Abia State University in Nigeria in 1990, and he was called to the Nigerian bar in 1991. After moving to the United States, he obtained an MBA from Houston Christian University in 2003 and a JD from the University of Miami in 2007. For 17 years, he maintained a successful legal practice, focusing on construction law and business litigation. In January of this year, 2025, he was appointed as the Associate Judge of the 240th District Court by the presiding judge, I apologize in advance, Surendran K. Patel. This appointment makes a significant milestone reflecting Judge Obialo's dedication to justice and his exemplary service to the legal profession. What's interesting here, the whole thing is interesting to me, but what's interesting here is that before his appointment, Judge Obialo actually sought elected judicial positions. In 2024, he ran for place 4 on the Texas 14th District Court of Appeals, but was not successful in the Democratic primary. He persevered, and this perseverance exemplifies the principle that delay is not defeat, it's not denial. His recent appointment underscores that persistence and dedication can lead to impactful opportunities. So what do you think?
It reminds me, I went to the funeral of Sheila Jackson Lee. And I didn't know that she did not win her first term. And so just a reminder that oftentimes people don't don't win their first term. Yep. And so that you have to continue and persevere. And just in general, the perseverance is important. So if there's a no, you continue and continue. And eventually, God willing, you'll get there. And also, I think it's great to see someone with the name Obialo in as a judge because it just gives more, I guess, another model of something to aspire to. And I think it's great to have just diversity in the judgeship. No matter, is that even the correct word? Judgeship? Sure. Okay, sure. Just to have that diversity there. So you just never know what aspect of the culture can help change, I guess, someone that's in court, like the defendant or what's the other term? Defendant or
plaintiff.
Plaintiff, yes. The outcome could be different depending on who the judge is, and it's great if the judge has some different cultural aspects that they may be able to lend to the trial and may have a different outcome.
Yeah. And I mean, he practiced law for a very long time. I think someone can double check me on this, but I think you have to be practicing for either 4 or 5 years before you can even be a judge.
Okay.
He's been practicing as an attorney for 17 years, and even was a lawyer in Nigeria,
which is awesome.
Called to the bar. So he definitely has a range of experiences, and I think is an example of when a person has different experiences, they bring that to bear. We're in a year though where diversity is a bad word. It's becoming a bad word. But he's an example that he can run circles around other people's resumes, and he's finally made it. So I'm really proud of him and want to say a big kudos and congratulations to Judge Obialo.
Congratulations. We're happy to see it. Now, what are we digging? Well, I think we discussed this a little bit earlier. We usually don't discuss topics in advance, but this one we discussed briefly, and you're digging it, but I'm not digging it. So let's talk about that.
So what I'm digging and have been digging for several years is Rent the Runway. So my outfit today and many of my outfits when I go outside the house come from Rent the Runway. Rent the Runway is a company, and they have an app where you can rent clothing. And most people's first foray into Rent the Runway is when they have some kind of event that they're going to and they want a big ball gown. So that's one way you can order from Rent the Runway. You can pick a style and then get a backup style because you don't know if the size is going to work. So you can get 2 sizes. And so you can get $1,000 dress for maybe $100, maybe $200, depending on the
dollars.
Depending on the outfit. So that's one part. I've been a member for some time, and it's why I'm digging it, because I was able to not have to buy pregnancy clothes.
That makes sense.
I didn't have to you can kind of get by with some of your regular clothes if you wear clothes loosely, but I could buy maternity specific clothes or rent maternity specific clothes from Rent the Runway. Still be stylish, still be appropriate for going to work. Rent it, send it back. They dry clean it. I pick some more stuff. They send it. I wear it, etc. So that's kind of why I think it's something that people should look into. Of course, whenever I have a gala or somewhere special that I'm going, I can use those same slots in my basket to get outlandish clothes. But they have workwear like what I'm wearing today. They have earrings, they have purses, they have accessories, etc.
Full outfit.
Yes. But I'm curious, how was your experience and how long ago was your experience?
The last time I used Rent the Runway was in December of 2024, so about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And less than 2 months ago at the time of filming this or recording this. And I ordered something for a party, and it was all black party. And I first off, I had ordered well in advance. They give you one size and a free size just in case it doesn't, one size doesn't fit well. And something happened where they didn't have the second size. And so they gave me another dress and it wasn't going to be here on time because I had to go out of the town. It was just a mess. And I got both of them and they didn't fit well. And I know that I have a body.
Thank God for your body.
I'm thankful for my body, but some would consider it kind of voluptuous to some extent. And oftentimes it can be hard to find clothes. And a lot of times these high-end clothes, designers don't make clothing for people like me. And so it wasn't until, funny enough, Fashion Nova came around that I could find jeans very easily. They're more from someone that's more a little bit more curvaceous. And funny enough, when I did Google Rent the Runway, you know what came up at the top of the Google list? Fashion Nova.
Oh, really?
So I think this is
They got ads.
Yeah, it's an ad. It's a sponsor ad, but I think that's a big mistake on Rent the Runway's part that they are losing potentially customers to Fashion Nova. But I mean, after my last experience, I probably would not use Rent the Runway again. And it had been, I think there was one more time before that I used it. It had been a long gap and the same issue. The clothes just did not fit me well. But then, I think the time before that, I found a dress and it was lovely. It fit well, but I think there was some of the underwiring of the dress was sticking out. And it was that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But would I rent clothes from Rent the Runway again? Probably not.
Okay.
I think if you have a more voluptuous body, it may be more difficult to find things. But if you don't, you may find a better option. But if you're like me, who unfortunately like Rent the Runway, Fashion Nova, fits you better because you're just more voluptuous, and I would just say go with Rent the Runway. Fashion Nova. Go with Fashion Nova. Because you're probably going to just find better clothes that'll fit you. The quality isn't the best.
Do they have a rental program?
No, I'm saying just go ahead and buy because the clothes are about the same price as renting from Rent the Runway. So that's what I think I would go do going forward, even though I don't like the quality as much, but it's going to fit.
Okay.
So
you have to look at the reviews and you have to look at, for each brand, and even really for each outfit, whether it runs small or it runs large. And then I go and I look at the pictures that they have and I'm like, how tall is that person? How much is their weight? How close is that to me? And at least right now, because I don't know what size I am or shape, I just size up for the most part. I size up once if it runs regular.
Right.
I size up twice if it runs small. And I still have months when they send me something that doesn't fit. I'm like, yeah. But that's a me problem, probably. Yes. But I'm still digging it.
Yeah.
And she's still not.
I'm still not. Abby, this was a great show.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this. So
Me
until
too.
next time.
Yes, see y'all. Stay sharp.
You've been listening to the Shine Your Eye podcast, where the gist never ends. If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen or watch us. And join the family. We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, feedback, and ideas for future episodes by emailing us at shineyoureyepod@gmail.com or connecting with us on social media at Shine Your Eye Pod.
Till next time, shine your eye, stay sharp, and keep the gist flowing. See you soon on another episode.